I think I would now like to invite all the presenters, panelists, and board members to come up here.
What an esteemed gathering we've got here. And I find at many of these gatherings, not so much today because not everybody has got a doctor or a professor in front of their name. I tend to feel a little bit isolated in that space. So just to wrap up today, I'd like to ask you all as to, just in one or two sentences, what your key takeaway from today is, and one thing that you can potentially do in your organisation. So I think I'll just hand the microphone to Satya, because you're standing right there, and just move it round.
We are hosts, so maybe I should hand over to the other side first.
Oh, no, you start. I'm sorry. That's like the poison chalice. Stop it.
Sorry, I think that's a little bit unfair to be giving it to Anne. We've got two board members that are just coming on board, and Anne is one of those. So this is a birth by fire. Thanks, Anne.
That's no worries. Thank you. Yeah, I'm Anne Smith. I've literally just walked in the door of the board, and being here today and listening to you all actually has been profoundly helpful on so many levels. I'm here because my daughter did have BPD. She died 10 years ago of BPD, and I felt it was just the timing was right now to see what I could do. I have more than a couple of sentences. I'm sorry, it's not long, but I just want to tell you some of the things that I picked up today from today. And I'll start with Ruth and the comment that she made there about that you were warriors of storms we didn't choose. I went, that just rang so true. I have to just really affirm that. When Peggy spoke about the impact of stigma and how that's still such a profound thing, and I went, yep, that's, sorry to hear that's true, but there you go. Hayley, I'm very excited about your neuroecology diversity. I don't think I understand it slightly, but I'm very excited by it, yeah. And when Megan affirmed that, you know, that what my daughter desperately tried to teach me freaking endlessly, let me tell you, that I wasn't there to fix the problem. Oh, that's right, I was there to listen and to affirm. I know. But what I did get out of today was I actually have faith that things have moved in 10 years. Not all the way, obviously, but I've got faith that things actually can and will move, and I'm very excited to be part of the board and to help that deliver. Thank you.
We're excited for you to be there. Louise.
Well, obviously there were lots of things talked about. One of the things, I guess, is a sort of general impression was that there is a lot of agreement about where we should be heading and what we need to be doing. I think what struck me is that the people who most need to hear the message are not the people in the room. And so for that, you know, that's the job for all of us, is to think about how we can better get the message to the people who want the system to stay the same. And there may be many reasons why. And I guess I've been ruminating on that all day. I think until there is enough funding for all areas of mental health, that it will feel like a competition. And that's just so destructive for everyone when it's a competition. So we need to find ways of having this be, or having our work be seen as you know, a valid, worthy part of the whole, so that we can work together with everybody else rather than against them.
So 45 years ago, the diagnosis of BPD got into the diagnostic manual. About 11 years after that, the first randomised controlled trials happened. And 25 years ago, Spectrum started in Victoria. And I just wanted to mark how far we've come with, you know, Spectrum, then the BPD Foundation, this being the 10th conference. And speaking here now compared with where we were 25 years ago, wow. Like, it's fantastic, and like so many beautiful like clinical services have been set up, so many much better integration with families and carers, lived experience peers, the research, you know, the whole comment from Diana just then about, you know, creating visibility through the data. Like, we are heading so in the right direction. So I just really feel like this has been such an inspiring great gathering of just, taking stock. And I am going to scoop Kathy by saying that we are planning on having a national conference in a couple of years to bring everyone together again, because I think it's amazing to do this. And there's just so much good work being done. So congratulations to everyone. That's my take home.
Look, so great to be here today. It's been so educational. I'd like to thank, my name's Ben, so I've just been invited to the board. So thanks to Rita and my fellow board members for your kind endorsement. My personal journey was last year with someone I was very close to, had BPD, so that was a huge learning journey for me. It sort of led me to this point. I wanted to learn more and eventually find a way to sort of give back and find a way to help everyone. So that's the reason I'm here. A highlight for me as someone who's starting this journey from a board perspective was probably Peggy's presentation, which gave such a great overview. But really, all the presentations were outstanding. Neuroplasticity, I'm definitely going to be looking into that. That's absolutely amazing. But again, look, thanks for the opportunity to be here today.
Hi, I'm Hayley. So what I'm struck by, as always, is the amount of willingness and desire to help that I see in the room and in clinicians, and I'm really glad to be around Julian again today. Julian and I used to work together. The thing that I'm going to take with me, well, I'm going to take two things with me, and one is about neuroplasticity, because when you said about 25 years ago, I thought, gosh, what was I doing in 25 years ago? And I was like, oh, yeah, no, I recall. And I was very lucky that I had a psychotherapist who just listened, right? There was something I wanted to say earlier and I didn't get the chance, so I'm just going to grab it now, which was about autonomy and about suicide. Now, I am not the same as everyone, and so I'm not trying to take this forward as a way of doing things necessarily, but for me, I think that my therapist knew how much of a people pleaser I'd been, that I only existed in the eyes of the other. I didn't feel I had an independent existence. So when I was right on that edge of suicidality, he would let me leave the room. And what that did was it gave me my life back. Because if I made it back because of me and not because of him. Does that make sense? It's like when 2-year-olds say, I don't want to wear shoes. It's not about the shoes, it's about how much their will counts and how much you will listen to them. But I was bigger, so I wanted to say that. But the thing so that idea of neuroplasticity and how much we can change, I'm very different now. I'm on a very different trajectory now than the one that I was on. I still struggle with these things from time to time, but it's less. It's not as bad. It's not as intense. And it still frickin' hurts when I'm in it, right? It really does. But it does tend to pass, and I do have some sense that time will move on and it will pass, which I don't think I used to have. But the thing that I want to take with me, and I also invite you to take with you, is there's been lots of talk about services being siloed, but I also wonder if our identities get a bit siloed, like the identity of a clinician or the identity of someone using services. And so I just want a bit of not about boundaries, but about softening our edges. Like, I'm a nurse, I'm a good nurse, and I'm a therapist, and I think I'm all right at that too. And I'm also someone who struggles, and I think it's okay that I am all of those things. I don't generally try to be all of them at one go, but I think just that softening of the siloing of my own parts of myself, I suppose. So that's what I'm going to take with me.
I think it's really hard to pick one message. If I want to pull on what Louise said in the terms of, by the time I got to my talk, I was like, I think everything's been said and everyone in the room is on the same page. So I guess what I'd like to see is what we're doing in these states, because I think we probably cluster across a couple of the states in Australia, to be happening out in other states. And someone early on said, treatment shouldn't be based on your postcode. I think it was you. That was really powerful.
What I get out of events like this is just a real sense of the value of inclusiveness and collaboration and cooperation. And I think hopefully coming out of today we'll all take, I suppose, an attitude of optimism into the spaces we go into. For me as a clinician, I suppose working in lots of kind of heart-wrenching situations in the public sector, having a sense of engagement, curiosity and optimism about the work, and valuing the inclusive and collaborative approach with anyone in crisis and their family and loved ones, and the difference you can make in a situation without thinking something's always somewhere else or it's unattainable or doors are being shut is invaluable. So even when I find myself in an emergency department in the depths of a weekend or something like that, the idea that any situation that you're in, being inclusive, being collaborative and optimistic about what can be done and engaging and focusing on the relationship is important. And I think that spirit's in the room here, and taking that out into the work that we do and the engagement that we have with in the areas that we're passionate about is really important. So thank you.
A reflection for me is thinking about how sometimes the idea of suicide and BPD, sometimes conversations can get very focused and very stuck, and I was thrilled to hear all the different presentations and to hear how much agreement there was, but also how broad people are thinking when it comes to suicide prevention rather than just crisis prevention. And I think the ideas tabled here today are terrific ones, and hopefully we can get more people in the room who need to hear them, of course, but lovely to be part of all this, so thank you.
I think for me it's about what we can do collectively. It's the obvious one, but when we all come together and we give ourselves this time and this space, and it's not often we do so, that you can really come up with absolute gold in terms of moving forward. I think from a suicide prevention perspective, I can honestly say that the field as it is emerging is travelling in the same direction, and I think it's a very, very hopeful space, so it's been a privilege to be here. Thank you.
I think from an attachment lens, it feels like coming back to your secure base here. It's a safe space. I think it's really reaffirming and validating that we are all kind of on the same page and going in the same direction. But I hope, similar to a child then going out and exploring more, I want to look at the other areas that we haven't tapped into, thinking more about universal health care and how we can explore those areas as well.
For me, the takeaways, the conference theme was uniting for change, to stop 1 in 10. Looks like we have achieved the unity, and given the consensus we have generally around what to do and what are the issues, challenges, and how to move forward. Also, it feels like when we established the foundation, all of us came together and said, we don't want clinicians to fight with families and consumers, and consumers to fight with families, and each blaming the other. We all want to come together on a single platform and work against the disorder. Feels like we are achieving that, given that we are all together. Looks like we are all singing from the same song sheet. Also want to take this opportunity to thank the incredible amount of work that our board members do on a pro bono basis, and with Rita leading the whole board. I just want to thank the board.
A month or so ago, we had a talk with Monique Ryan, a local member. Did you hear that? And she said it's the squeaky wheel that gets the oil. I hope we come away from this together, not squeaking, but roaring.
My comment is really just about the lived experience factor, and how lived experience is embedded into services now, and that some of the research is showing that it's having some of the same results, isn't it, as the clinical interventions. So yeah, I'm just really supportive and happy to be part of that.
I guess my takeaway from today, and I guess I went a little bit screaming towards the agreement to have a conference because I know how much work it is. But look, it's really great to feel that you are, like Louise said, and that you're with your tribe, and this great vibe that there is today that we're all pretty much on the same page. Sure, there's a couple of different dots and commas in places, but we're basically on the same page. And I hope that we can really continue that momentum. Now, I've just got one question that's come from somebody in the audience. I'm not too sure whether anyone can answer this. So, are any BPD agencies working with training police? The person feels that it would be very valuable for them to know how to work with victim survivors of complex presentations. Now, I guess that I've got a very quick comment in that we have tried very hard to get training into the legal profession, into the police, and we've got absolutely nowhere. But someone might have got a little bit further.
It's very, very small. We've started conversations with the South Australian Police. The person who heads up their mental health, I guess, portfolio is actually really interested to think about what they can do to be more effective in responding. So I think it worked really well with developing the resource for first responders, and they certainly consulted with them, and they provided feedback. So we're hoping that's the first step. That will be uploaded onto their iPads. So when police are going out to any event, that if they're needing that resource, that will be on their iPad and a key resource for them. And then we're thinking about how we can get some training to, I guess, so that they know what the resource that is, and I guess, so maybe they can hold a bit of that information in their head before going out. So I will certainly report back.
I mean, that's fantastic. And I think a big part of what we're all doing is actually getting resources out on our websites. I know people still haven't heard about the foundation, haven't heard about Spectrum. I'm not too sure about Project AIR. I'm sort of not as much on the ground, or BPD Co, but we really need to get that information that we've got disseminated out there so everyone knows it. All right, well...
Obviously, we'll start off with a bit of gratitude. So obviously a big thank you to everyone with lived experience, carers, researchers and clinicians. An acknowledgement, I think, of the generosity of those people who shared their stories and expertise today. Ruth, you're a tough act to follow. I think you started the morning off really well, and there's a lot of commentary about what you said. So we had Peggy and Hayley, again, tough acts to follow, Megan, etc. So thank you to everyone, all the panellists as well. A big thank you goes to the organising team. So behind the scenes, I think we all know that Rita really drives the motor that is the BPD Foundation. A lot of people probably don't know that Karen is right there with her, pushing things along. So big thank you to those guys. Volunteers and the board. I think it takes a bit of courage to put on an event like this. It's not always easy. You do wonder if you're going to walk away paying a lot of bills, and so we're extremely grateful to the sponsors, in this case Spectrum, Headspace and BPD Co, for making this happen today. So if everyone can just, big thank you to all of them. Like Rita said, I've been with the foundation now for about 15 months. I met some amazing people, carers, people with lived experience, clinicians. I had politicians. When I wrote amazing, I had politicians. I've scratched that out. So I wouldn't call them amazing, but I have met a few of them over the journey. Look, I came in with a mission to grow awareness, advocacy and support. I've often reflected on what I've learnt through my journey so far, the power of lived experience, the gaps, and there are many, believe you me, there are many in this system, and the challenges of stigma. I acknowledge it hasn't been easy. I've often said many times to both Rita and Sathya, this isn't an easy gig. We're a small organisation, with big, seriously big mission, but the passion of the community makes it extremely worthwhile. Being CEO of this foundation has been one of the most humbling experiences of my life. Why we're here. 1 in 10 of all suicides have a diagnosis of BPD. This number isn't just a figure. It represents lives lost, families grieving, and communities impacted. Every discussion today, every connection made is about reducing that number to 0. Most important is that behind this number are real people, friends, family, and colleagues. When I think back on the reflections of today, I think about the advances in clinical practice, the voices of lived experience, breaking stigma, pushing for empathy and inclusion, the role of carers and families, policy and system change opportunities. You know, Peggy was the one that said there's a cost of inaction. Louise said it well when she said, we need voices. Bryn said something that really resonated with me, prevention and early intervention. Satya said, we need a glue to bring us all together. Megan said it well when she said we need meaningful change. Doesn't mean we seek perfection. The reality tells me just focus on forward momentum. The consistent message, change requires collaboration across disciplines, across sectors, across experiences. It's great to see Peggy back as our patron. I think Rita had to drag her back, but...
No, she's very willing.
So we're glad, and we're never going to let her retire, so she'll keep going forever. Seeing all of our panellists and the years of experience, the different insights into BPD makes me believe that we're on the right path to something bigger and better. Uniting for change and what it really means, it's more than a conference title, it's a call to action. Uniting means clinicians, researchers, carers, and people with lived experience standing side by side. For change, well, this means not settling for the status quo, not accepting limited services, stigma, or silence. Together, we amplify voices that are often unheard. Now the big one, where is the foundation going? We have a forward-looking vision, expanding awareness nationally, strengthening partnerships with clinicians, services, and lived experience leaders, advocating for more accessible and compassionate treatment, building sustainable funding to grow reach and impact. The foundation is here for the long game. So Rita, you can't go anywhere. To push forward, to evolve, and to lead the conversation about BPD nationally. BPD awareness continues. Events like this and the foundation resources are just the beginning of what we are doing. Our vision is much bigger. In closing, there is a heaviness that comes with BPD and suicide, but also the resilience and strength in this community. Progress is possible, it's happening, we just need to persist. If we remain united, if we continue to push for change together, we can save lives and create a future where no one is left behind. Thank you everyone for attending today. We'll give you about 6 minutes back. There you go. So we're going to finish a few minutes early. But again, thank you. Thank you to everyone, and thank you to everyone online.